Yes.
You had.
And we're good.
We're good to go?
Mhm.
All right. All right, ladies, so we took care of the gift certificate. You will be contacted and a gift certificate will be given to you, everybody that has logged in tonight. So I thank you for that. I am Darlene Adams. I'm Katie's mom. I also have two other girls, Amanda and Mariah, and they're all grown ladies. I've been in the business for 18 years. All 18 years I've been at Reese Nichols, and I have a BA in Business Administration. I'm licensed in Kansas and Missouri, and my office is based in Leawood, Kansas. So let's find you your new home. If you were to look today, you would know that the inventory on homes is low, but the interest rate is also very low. We're going to talk about the following things in the next 45 minutes. Hopefully, I'll try to go through it as quickly as possible, but feel free to jump in and ask a question if you have a question. We're going to talk about agency relationships, home buying process, financing, search tools, finding the right home, making an offer, the transaction, and getting to closing day. So the first step was the agency. Of course, if you have a buyer's agent, that agent will be representing you as the buyer. And the good part about that is there's no cost for you to be represented. There is normally a brokerage fee of some kind that you pay on either side for, but that has nothing to do with being represented. And that person will not discuss any of your private information. They're going to represent you, fill out all your paperwork for you, negotiate your deal, and keep in constant communication with you till you get to closing. And if you are talking to somebody maybe that you walk into an open house for, you may be talking to the listing agent, the person who represents the seller. So if you're talking to the listing agent, you don't want to tell them, oh my God, I love this house. It's wonderful. And I'm so excited about it, because you're giving away everything and makes negotiation very hard. Let's go on to the buying process. I love this next screen because it gives you a great idea where you should start. Do your homework. Talk to one another. If you have a significant other or a support person who's helping you get through this process, someone who's going to be moving in with you, talk about what you like. Where do you want to live? What do you want in a house? You know, what are your deal breakers? If that house needs to have a garage, well, that's kind of important to let the real estate agent know. And this is a time where you know, you're going to sit down with the real estate agent and kind of have a discussion with them and let them know what you're looking for in a home, what your goals are. And a successful home purchase isn't based on luck. There has to be a plan. And with that plan, you kind of have to have goals in mind, and your agent needs to know that. And anybody who wants these, the screens, they'll be able to get them. I love this little wheel because it kind of answers all the questions you might have. So you're going to start with meeting with a real estate professional to discuss what you're looking for, including the style of home, the price of home, where you want to be located, maybe how many bedrooms you want to have. Then you're going to get pre-approved by a lender. It's really important that you do this in this market right away, because you're going to have to give them your pay stubs, your W-2s, and your bank statements so that they can pre-approve you for the loan that you want. So have a budget in mind and kind of know, well, if I pay this much in rent, what do I want to pay in a house payment, and is that realistic? So have an idea in mind. And when you go to the lender, if they ask for, you know, your W-2s, your bank statements, everything's virtual now. So they send it over secured links. Just be sure that whatever they ask for, that you go ahead and give it to them, because they're going to need that to pre-approve you. And for us to write an offer, if you find that house when you start searching for it, good chance it could be under multiple offers. More than one person wants to make an offer on that house. So you want to have your pre-approval in hand before you start searching. And we don't want to break your heart. We want to know what you can afford and not start looking for things that maybe aren't in your price range, or and then you'll look at it and say, well, that's what I want, and then we're going to break your heart. We don't want to do that. We don't ever want to do that. We want to keep you where you can afford it and still live a life and have fun times with the family. So then you'll make an offer, and your agent will prepare that offer for you, and they will discuss the terms and the price that you want to offer on the home. And then they'll go ahead and they'll negotiate it. Now, keep in mind, there might be a counter offer. The listing agent might say, well, we like it, but maybe we want a different date, or perhaps we don't want to take a contingency, or we don't want you to have to sell a house first. We need you to be ready to go.
Can you do contingency for us real fast?
Contingency, yes. Contingency there's several different kinds of contingency, but a contingency could be if you have a home to sell, you're going to make the purchase of this home and the closing of this home contingent upon your home selling and closing, so that you're not stuck with two homes at the same time. But if you're under contract with your home already, it's still a contingency, but it's a little stronger offer. There's a lot of things that are contingent. It could be contingent upon your having an inspection. And I would always suggest that you have an inspection, because you want to know about the house. You want to know about the mechanicals. You want to know if there's anything that is needs serious repair or is a safety issue, so that we can negotiate those items with the seller. So that would be a contingency as well. It's something that would prohibit you from getting the home unless it was totally taken care of. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
So then once we get through all of that and we come up with a resolution and we understand what we're asking for, what we're asking the seller to do, then we go into escrow. And it's kind of like keeping that home on hold for you until we get through all the final details, and until we get all the resolution taken care of, all of the lender details taken care of, until you get through your final closing. And when you get to the closing, and we'll go over this in a little bit more detail as with the further slides, but when you get to your closing, they're going to transfer your funds and your ownership, and a title company out here, a title company really takes care of that. We don't have too many attorneys unless it's some big transaction and there needs to be an attorney present. But most often you'll have a title company, and the title company will act as the independent third party to facilitate the closing.
There's a quick question. What does pending mean?
Pending means that there is a contract on the home and it's pending for close. It's different than show for backup, because you can no longer show the home if it's pending. If it's show for backup, you can see it. And if you want to write a backup offer, you could. But pending means that's it. It's pending. They're just waiting for it to go to close. Okay. And then you get to the end, you get to closing, and congratulations, you're a new homeowner. If only if it was that simple. It seems like it is, but there's a lot to go through. I think I jumped ahead a slide. Okay. The first thing you want to do is get pre-approved. So you'll want to speak with your realtor and see if they have any lenders that they can refer you, or if you have a particular lender you like working with, then that would be a good idea to go ahead and get that pre-approval letter. It's going to be important for you because it says to the seller that you're serious and they will not accept an offer without a pre-approval. So when you're choosing a lender, you can choose a bank, you can choose a mortgage broker, and you know, if you go with a bank, there's a little bit of differences. Local banks are great and they're helpful, but if you're going with something online, or if you're trying to go with a bank that's a big box bank and maybe they don't deal with you personally, but you're going to somebody in Tampa, Florida, that's a little different, and you might not get the hand holding that you want, and they may not walk you through it as much as if you were going with maybe a local bank, a smaller bank, or a mortgage broker. And when you start this process, your realtor will kind of talk to you and guide you through that. And only you will know. You can interview several people, only you will know who you want to go with, because there's going to be different interest rates, different costs involved with getting your loan, and different loans to choose as well. Let's see, types of loans. There's a multitude of loans, but the ones probably, if you're a first-time home buyer, there's a FHA first-time home buyer loan, and that requires the least amount of money down. If you are going to go with a, let me get to this one. Okay. And it only requires you to put 3.5% down. If you go with a conventional loan, you're only required to put 3% down, but of course, the more you put down, your payment's going to be a little less. And then there's a USDA loan, which requires you to put nothing down, but you have to be in a rural area to be able to get that. So maybe Gardner, Eudora, someplace like that. And VA loans are also zero money down as well. But the two that we really deal with a lot are the FHA loan and the conventional loan.
Can you explain what FHA stands for?
FHA is a first-time home buyer association. So it's the first loan. And because you're a first-time home buyer, you can get a lower interest rate. You're required to only put less down for the loan. And sometimes that works out better for you, and sometimes a conventional loan works out better. But you don't have to put down 20% if you don't want to anymore. These are the requirements that they have right now. So there's kind of a loan for everybody. I work with several different lenders. Renee Christensen is one of them with Fairway. Let me go back a little bit here. And you'll see that the lender has their own kind of roadmap as well. And some of them have what's called a shop and lock. So they can lock your rate while you shop. And then when you find your home, they'll help you determine that. Right before you go to find your home, you're going to have help determining that price range. Don't just go with what the lender says is your highest amount. Be sure that you're comfortable with that amount. Be sure that, you go in and tell them, I think I would only like to spend $1,000, $15,000 a month for my house payment. I feel comfortable with that. And then they'll kind of gear it down to that for you. And then they'll go, when I get a purchase agreement, so that's contract on a home for them, I give it to the lender for you. I make sure they get all your paperwork. And then we go through the home inspection. And then usually they'll ask for more information about your, maybe more information about your workplace. They'll have to have your, your HR person be someone that they can get in contact with, especially with COVID now. So just ahead of time, maybe try to make sure that you know who that person is. They'll get you ordered an appraisal. An appraisal costs something around somewhere between $425 and $475, and it appraises the value of the home you're purchasing. And the home has to appraise for the value that is on the contract, or you would need to renegotiate the contract so that either the seller picks up the difference or you split the difference. But or if it appraises for more, well, that's just good for you. You can shop around and get your insurance then. You have to have homeowners insurance if you have a loan. They want to make sure that it's insured if something were to happen to it. And once you get all that and you've made it through the appraisal, and everything's good to go there, they're going to put you through processing and underwriting. You'll hear the word underwriting. That's just where the final documents get reviewed. That's where they look at all the credit again. So don't go shopping for furniture or make any large purchases, because you don't want your credit to change during the process of purchasing a home. And then you'll get final approval, and they'll say you're good to go. We're just waiting on closing. And they'll give you your closing disclosure on your closing day. You'll have 3 days before closing to kind of look at that. That'll tell you all the costs involved with your closing. And before you write the offer, you'll get a piece of paper that is an estimate of what those closing costs will be as well, from both from your lender and from your real estate agent. And then congratulations, you've made it through, and the title company will have you bring your ID in, and they will have you sign all the forms, get a little writer's cramp. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes, but you're signing pretty much the same documents everybody else is. And they'll ask you for a cashier's check or to wire your funds. If you can get a cashier's check, I would highly suggest that in this day and age when people are doing phishing schemes and hacking, wiring. And always be sure no one will ever ask you for your closing documents online, or ask you for your wiring instructions online. Never. Not even at 5:30 in the morning and they say they're the title company. Never. So do not click on anything like that. Okay, let's see. Okay, we went through that. Closing costs, down payment. Okay, search tools. So you're probably all familiar with Zillow, and that's where a lot of people like to search, is on Zillow. Zillow is not always accurate, and they cannot tell you if something has gone show for backup. So always, if you see something and you're like, well, why aren't you showing me this property? It's on Zillow. Be sure to check with your agent, and she'll look it up for you on what's called MLS, the multiple listing service. And that's where all the agents go to look for all of your information, all of the homes that are for sale. They also network. So we have meetings in our office every Tuesday, and everybody says what's going to be coming up next. So sometimes they hear about things that are going to go on the market before they even go on the market. And agents can search for things that are in MLS that are future listings, but they're not something that you can see on maybe the Zillow or on the Reese and Nichols site or Realtor.com. You might not be able to see those yet. So it's really good to have your agent. Your agent will always be searching for you every day, especially in this market, because if it's in a price range below 400,000, it is going to go very quickly, and they're going to be looking at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning when those listings come on brand new for you. Trust me, they will do this. So, and then you'll be looking, so you'll be set up in a search, a high-tech search. And what we have at Reese Nichols is something called Home Match. And it'll automatically, once we set up that search for you and put the criteria in that you want, what kind of home, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, the area you want to be in, if you want a finished basement, if you want something that's a fixer-upper or pretty much turnkey, if you want an open floor plan, they'll put all that in for you, and those listings will populate as frequent as hourly if you want it, or maybe twice a day or 3 times a day. But your agent will also be seeing the same thing you're seeing. So they'll notify you if there's something that you need to see on your lunch hour, or you need to go before you go into work to see, and they'll get you into that home. They'll make the appointment for you and get you into that home. Any questions yet? No? Okay.
Nothing in the chat yet.
All right. Hopefully we're moving right along. Okay, so finding the right home. It's really the top priority of your agent to know what you're looking for. I always have a buyer consultation, and I sit down with the buyers, or I can do it virtually, or we can do it at a coffee shop with masks on, however you prefer to have it done. And I ask all the wonderful questions. Well, why do you want to buy a home? Where do you want to be? Do you know how many square feet you want to have? Do you know how many bedrooms and bathrooms you want? Do you like a 2-story home? Do you need a ranch home? What are the styles that you like? Do you like a traditional home? Maybe something that's more contemporary looking? And what features are really important to you on a home? Does it have to have a fireplace? Do you have to have a 2-car garage or a 3-car garage? Does it have to be close to schools because you have children and they have to be in a certain school district that you want them to be in? We'll ask all those questions. We're not asking them to be nosy. We're just asking them so that we get on the right path right away with you to get you out to the different homes that you're going to want to see. And you might not know. You might not know what style of home you like. You might not know if you want something more traditional until you see them. And that's okay too. That's perfectly fine, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. You might have to see several homes to be able to know what you're looking for. So that's fine. And we'll be happy to show you those different homes so that you get an idea of what the different styles are. So you might see something like this. This is just an example of what a questionnaire might look like. And, do you have pets? Because in some places, and how many pets do you have? Because some places, they only let you have so many pets. Let's see. Do you have to sell a property before you can buy one? So do you live in a house now and you own it? Will you need to sell that house first before you can purchase the next home? Because we don't want you to try to have to pay for 2 homes at the same time. Are you in a current lease? If you're in a lease, when's that lease up? How much time do we have to find you that home? And what if that lease expires? What do we have a contingency plan? What we're going to do next? Let's see. And then, do you have any members in your family that are disabled or need something special in a home? Be sure to mention all that when you're speaking with your agent and you're having that consultation. Let's see. So there's lots of questions. They're going to ask you if you've got a pre-approval yet, because that's important. We discussed that. Do you need help getting a lending company? And then there's a little bit of a difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification. A pre-qualification is a letter that the lender will give you stating, okay, so far their credit looks great and they're going to get me their W-2s, and if everything checks out and they do really work the amount of hours they say they do and they really do make that kind of money, then they'll be pre-approved. So try to get them all your paperwork so you can be pre-approved, okay? Let's see. You're going to have to, there's something called earnest money. And earnest money is kind of a deposit that you put down on the house that's going to go back to you towards your down payment at closing. But it's something to show that you have a little skin in the game so that the sellers say, okay, they're serious to buy this home. Usually it's about 1%. It could be anywhere from 1% to 3%, depending on what you have available to do in an earnest deposit. And on some homes, we may tell you, it might be, might put you in a better position if you're able to put down a little bit more earnest money. So maybe instead of $1,000, if you can put $2,000 down, that would be really good. And then, again, be sure that you're talking to your significant other or whoever you are going to look for homes with, or whoever's on the mortgage with you, so that kind of you're on the same page. Or maybe you'll find out you aren't on the same page, and well, we just kind of have to find you a little bit of everything, I guess. Will you require some down payment assistance? Will a parent or a grandparent be gifting you money? These are all things that you'll talk about with your lender. And then I think we've kind of covered all those questions on the bottom. Let's see. And so once they've established what your goals are then you can start searching for a home. And once you've been pre-approved, we know what price range to start searching for a home. And then we can assist you in preparing your offer. We will write it for you, and we'll help you, educate you through the process and tell you what might be the best offer to give. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you right now, there are multiple offers on a lot of properties, but you'll say, well, Darlene, then why is it a good time to buy a house? Well, it's a good time to buy a house because you have more buying power, because the interest rate is so low right now. I have never seen interest rates quite this low. And I mean, they are lower almost than student loans these days. So, you know, it is a good time to try to find a home. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe you can have a little painting done on it. Maybe you're handy and you can do a little painting yourself. Maybe there's things that you can make repairs to and gain some equity in the home, a little sweat equity. So then your agent will also present and negotiate the offer. They will always be in constant contact with you. So if you've presented an offer, you want to stay by, you know, close to your phone and know when they're going to call you back to say either it's been accepted or there's a counter offer, or maybe they want to just change the date. Are you flexible with the terms? That type of thing. And then you'll be going under contract. And once your contract is accepted, then we're going to have to get that earnest deposit to the other agent or to the title company. So we have like three days to do that. So just keep that in mind, and they will deposit it. So they will deposit it within 5 days, and they'll hold it for you in an escrow account. Okay, I'm moving right along. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, so this is the home buyer checklist that I kind of put together, and it's kind of the, okay, we must do this ASAP, and what's next? So once you've written an offer, we get the earnest money in, then the physical actual check, and that could be a personal check, it could be a bank check, you know, it could be any of those checks. It doesn't have to be the certified funds that you give at the end. So then you're going to most likely have me schedule a property inspection. I can give you a list of inspectors and you can call them and see which one you feel comfortable with. And what they'll inspect is, you can have an inspection on the mechanicals of the house. So your plumbing, your electric, your safety issues in the home. There's multitude of things that they'll inspect for you, but they don't inspect everything. So you'll also have a termite inspection. I would highly suggest that, so that you know there's no termites on the property, because if there are, the seller will have to pay to have that taken care of. Radon is another kind of inspection that you can have, and that's a radon gas if you're planning on maybe utilizing a finished basement or finishing the basement. You're going to want to have a radon inspection to see if the home has radon, which is a gas that causes cancer. And you'll say, oh my goodness, well, what if it does have radon? Well, the good thing is, if you've had it done previous to the house closing, then the seller would most likely, you would negotiate that the seller pay to have the mitigation system put in. And they're pretty expensive. They can be around $650, $675. And there's something that it drills into the bottom, to the concrete in your home, and there's a fan on it, and it takes the gases out of the house. But it's a pretty expensive thing to have, so you're going to want the sellers to pay for that. And then while you're doing all this, your lender's going to be contacting you and saying, okay, I need, you know, those bank statements that you told me you were going to get. I need those W-2s or we can't move forward. Whatever they're asking you for, they need. It's not just because they're trying to bug you. They really need it. So that's number 3. 4 is you're going to have title commitment and appraisal and insurance all kind of coming up at the same time. So once we get through negotiating all of everything that showed up, and we've sat down and looked at the inspection report, what the inspector says are safety issues and, you know, things that need to be fixed, and we've negotiated that with the seller, an appraisal is going to be ordered. Some lenders like to do the appraisal right away, and they send a disclaimer that says, this doesn't mean that we're not going to negotiate. We just do this for our buyers, and if for some reason the negotiations do not move any further, we'll pay for the appraisal. But most likely you will pay for the appraisal. It just is if you don't move forward. Then the insurance, you're going to have to pick a homeowner's insurance company. And we at Reese Nichols, we have lenders, homeowners insurance, title company. We have everything in our buildings right here, but you feel free, you can use any other title company, any other lender you want to use. We just have it for a convenience for you, and they're very good people. I've worked with all of them. Kansas City Title is our title company. And so when you're about done, you've gone through the appraisal, you've gone through the resolution, you're going to have an insurance company because the lender requires that you have the house insured in case anything were to happen to it. And then the final steps, make sure that you call the utility companies, and they'll give the sellers will give you a list of who they have, and you're going to call, and they're going to call, and they're going to call to say, we're going to turn off ours on the date that you close. And then you're going to call and say, we're going to have these turned on for us on the date that you close. And you're going to go ahead and have any cable, anything else that you have at that time, your newspaper, whatever else that you might have. If there's a trash company that you have to call, then you'll have to call those people. If the garbage cans were rented, you'll be calling to get those taken care of as well. And then we'll schedule a closing for you and a final walkthrough. The final walkthrough is just something we do before closing to make sure that if we had anything on the resolution that the sellers were going to fix, that they show us the receipts and we can kind of see that they were fixed. Or if there was nothing and they just gave you closing costs, we still kind of do the final walkthrough just to make sure there wasn't a hailstorm or there wasn't like a torrential rainstorm and now there's water in the basement. We just do it to make sure that the house is in the same shape it was when you did your inspections. And then finally, you get to close the deal. You get to go to closing at the title company. You're going to bring your photo ID, your certified funds, and you're going to get your keys. So that is what you really have to think about, getting to closing. There's a lot of steps to get there, but trust your realtor, trust your lender, and if they're asking for things, please give them to them. Okay, so the transaction. Your realtor is going to monitor the dates and the deadlines on your contract. They're going to communicate with you daily. They're going to communicate with your lender. They're going to communicate with the seller's agent. They're going to communicate with the inspector and get you through the inspection process and through the final walkthrough. And then you're at closing. You're finally at closing, and they'll answer any questions you have. You'll fill out all the paperwork, and you'll bring a certified check or wire your closing costs. So is it a good time to buy and to sell? Well, I think it's a very good time to buy because the interest rates are low. Is it a good time to sell? Absolutely. Because if you look at this little graphic here, it says that there's a high demand for homes, a lot of buyers, but not a lot of inventory. So the price of your home will be a little, it might be a seller's market now because there's not as much inventory and there's a lot of demand, a lot of buyers out there. If you look at this, 4,625 homes sold. This will say July because we haven't gotten to August yet. We get our stats at the end of the month. And the average sale price was $283,683. Boy, that's a weird average sales price. But the inventory was down 45.7% from last year. And what it means is if it's only 1.5 months of supply on the market of inventory, that means there's only like a month's worth of inventory for maybe 6 months worth of buyers. So make sure you have a good realtor. Make sure you are pre-approved, and make sure that you understand what's a good offer to make, and what you need to do and how much you need to put down. But yes, it is a good time to buy because the interest rates are incredible. And the benefits of home ownership. Well, you can buy a home and it's going to appreciate. You're going to have equity in that home. If you're renting, you're making somebody else equity and making somebody else's payments, and you don't have anything to call your own. So you're going to establish roots and join a community and maybe raise a family there. It's a good thing. And research shows that children that live in homes have a higher testing score, and they tend to graduate. They have higher percentages of graduating from high school and colleges. You may have some tax savings. That keep changing that on us, so check with your tax accountant for that one. But you have the happiness of knowing you own your own home. And you have your own garden out there. You have a place to plant a tree. There's a place for your dog and your kids. And it's just something you can call your own. And it's kind of a good feeling. You take pride in that. So don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait for it to make you money. That's a good one. And then here's a slide from Jaylyn with Prosperity Mortgage. She's in our office here. It shows you that with lower interest rates, you're going to have higher buying power. So something that you might have purchased before for $250,000, you might be able to afford more right now. So in this scenario, it's about a $25,000 difference just because the interest rates are so much lower. And that kind of tells you, okay, this might be the right time to buy now because I'm going to get more property for my money and more square footage for my money. These are based on 30-year fixed rates, and it is your monthly principal and interest. It's not your taxes, and so you'll have to add taxes into there, and interest if you have any PMI. If you don't put down 20%, you're going to say, what is PMI? Well, that's like a little interest that they charge you for having the loan, and a little insurance that they charge you for having the loan. And there's options on that. You can even buy that down up front. If you have good credit, you can buy down your PMI. So these are all good things to ask your lender and your realtor. And this is just another graph. This one's from Fairway Independent with Renee Christensen. So this shows if you do put down 20%, let's say it was 3.5%, and most of them are lower now, but if you're going to purchase a home for $250,000, then your payment would be around $898.09 plus taxes and insurance. So whatever you'd have to pay for your taxes, and each house is different, so they don't put that in there. Your realtor will let you know what the taxes are on that house, and when you have the MLS sheet in front of you, it'll tell you what the taxes are on that house, and then they'll divide that by 12, and that will give you monthly what your taxes will be. And then your insurance company will tell you what your monthly insurance payment will be, and you'll add it to the principal and to that number right there, and the interest, the principal and interest. And then that's what your final house payment will be. And there's lots of mortgage calculators online, and each of your lenders have a mortgage calculator that you can go on, and you can kind of figure out what the price of your home is going to be before you even write an offer on the house. I think end of the slideshow. Okay, that's it. Does anybody have any questions? I went through a lot very quickly, and I know we have, what time is it? We've got
a few minutes, got 15 minutes. So
We
go
got
ahead and unmute yourselves if you guys have any questions.
Yeah,
Was
I have
that-
a question.
okay.
So
When should we, how many months before we want to buy should we start looking or start working with a realtor?
I usually tell people if they're not sure what they want, that they should probably try at least 2 to 3 months, because you're going to want to get pre-approval. You're going to want to start looking at homes to see what you want, and at least 2 to 3 months.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Was it helpful? I'm hoping this was helpful for you. Was there anybody out there that needs to sell as well that has any questions?
You just got a couple of questions in
Okay.
the chat. So Andrea asked, if you're in a situation where you've put in an offer and there are other offers on the table, are there certain things you recommend we do to help our chances with the seller?
Yes, absolutely. What I would do, if it's a multiple situation offer, multiple offers on the table, I would ask you, what do you feel comfortable making an offer? Make an offer over the list price. And at what point are you okay with losing that home? So what happens there is if you make over list and the appraisal comes up and it doesn't appraise, then it's okay. You can still walk away from the contract. You won't have to pay the difference if you don't put that in there. There's things that are called escalation clauses. I use these often. A lot of people, I'll ask the agent if they like these, because what it says is, okay, I'm going to pay $1,000 or $500 over the next offer because I really want this home. That is one way to do it, and you cap it. You say up to a certain amount. That is one way to do it, to make yourself a little bit more, to look a little bit better in the offer. Also, if you could put more money down or give a bigger earnest deposit, these are all things that will make you look stronger. A lot of sellers prefer conventional loans because they don't have to, they're not required to fix so many things if it's a conventional loan. But we can't always, we don't always qualify for a conventional loan. So if you do, that's great. If you can pay cash, that's amazing, but not everybody can do that. So these are the things that we can make ourselves stronger. Make sure that you get to that lender and you get that pre-approval letter and they start the process and even get you into underwriting as far as your credit and knowing that they can totally verify all of your income and everything, because then you'll have a really strong chance of getting it.
Any other questions, ladies? I see a lot of thank yous. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. This was great. I really enjoyed doing it. And if you think of any questions, feel free to email me. I think they give you, I think they recorded it. So
I put your contact info in there as well.
So, but thank you. I had a great time. Hope you ladies all had a good time too. And if you do not drink and you want a gift certificate to a restaurant instead, I can totally do that. If you don't drink alcohol, I can totally do that. So I thank you.
I have one super quick question. I know you had said that we can get these documents. Will we be getting those in email, like just the slides that you've shown? Are we going to get those in an email or just through a recording?
I can send them in an email to you. Absolutely.
Okay, so do you just want me to email you and just say,
Would you?
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, if you're interested in the slides, just go ahead and email me at darlene@reeseandnichols.com.
Not Ann.
Perfect.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
It's Reese Nichols now. I've been here so long, they've changed the name. But it's Darlene, DARLENE, at Reese, REECENE, I'm sorry, REECENICHOLS.com. And then I'll send it to you. Or you can always just text me as well.
Thank you so much, Darlene.
Thank you, Danny.
Is that a glass of wine?
Yes.
I love it. Yes, and if you want, you can also send them to me, and we can request that those slides be blasted out with like the e-blast that goes out each month. But yes,
Awesome.
thank you. Yeah, and thank you everyone for hopping on tonight and just taking time out of your evening to listen to Darlene and learn something awesome and to get free wine. But yes, thank you, Darlene, for your time tonight. And we'll
Welcome. And if you're making a move, feel free to call me. I can give you any advice that you need, and probably a little motherly advice that you don't need, but yeah, feel free to call me.
And I did, Danny, I got everybody checked in, including you. So everyone is good to go if you did not make it through. Most of you did. So most of you got it checked in with the code.
woohoo.
Megan, I see your comment. A couple of women who want to see the recording. I will absolutely share. Just shoot me an email if you would. And I will share it with those members. I think I know the two. Alex was one of them, maybe.
Yeah, and Anna. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.